Hello again from Front Porch Studios, somewhere in northern Utah. The Conservative American is coming back at you with another episode of Freedom Friday. What a lovely Friday it is. In this part of the world, the sky is absolutely blue and beautiful tonight, and it is a balmy 69 degrees. So, great Friday to a great week. We've got lots of stuff to talk about. There's been a lot of distractions going on. Distractions are dangerous. One of the best parallels to this is in sports and sleight of hand. You got a third baseman that fakes to throw the ball, and it turns out he's got the ball in his hand. It can be bad for you because when you step out 3 or 4 yards from the base, anticipating maybe trying to make a steal of a base or something like that. Next thing you know, he's got the ball and you're out. And that's what we're seeing a whole lot of right now, coming out of Washington, D.C. and the Joe Biden White House. This week, you've got the January 6th Insurrection Committee coming out, and they vote from their committee to unanimously subpoena Donald J. Trump to come testify before the hearings. Not only is this wildly out of order, but it's just not going to happen. They know it's not going to happen. If they were interested in subpoenaing Trump or having to hear anything he had to say, you think that there would have been two things. First, why didn't they try to subpoena him way early on? Why now? Just in October? Well, that's because October is the month of surprises, right? That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to play a little bit of sleight of hand. Oh, let's change the news cycle here. We just subpoenaed Donald J. Trump to our January 6th Insurrection Committee hearing meetings. It absolutely blows my mind how everybody in the news media, and not as much anymore, even CNN is starting to call some of this stuff out, way out there, but a little bit, but they fall for all this stuff. And what are they really trying to take our minds off of with this October surprise? And this will be one of many October surprises that are going to come down between now and the election. Another one that it just blows my mind. You've got information out there that Joe Biden, of course, he is exacerbated. He went over to the Saudis and he begged for oil, and OPEC cuts production. Well, a little detail of that thing that really doesn't hit the mainstream is Joe Biden didn't ask them to perpetually continue to increase oil production through the Saudis and through the OPEC nations. He simply said, keep the spigot on until after the midterms. What a despicable human being he is. You've got families out there, especially young families, just starting out in the lower middle to low income families, that they're having to make choices between buying things for their kids, putting food on the table, or putting gas in their car, because inflation is off the charts. Off the charts, record inflation. We're going into a recession. We are in a recession, whether they want to admit we are in a recession or not. They changed the definition, but it doesn't change the fact that those dynamic metrics of past recessions have been met, which was 2 consecutive quarters with a contraction in the economy. And by definition, until they changed it, we are in a recession. And it's only going to get worse. And it's funny to watch Joe tap dance around this, and he will say things like, well, we've done really well. Oil and gas has come down consecutively for 100 days. Well, yeah, it has, after you blew it up to an all-time record high, so it's not much of a consolation prize. And then the other thing he wants you to look at is compare yourself to the rest of the world. Now, normally this wouldn't be something that would chap my hide, but here's the issue. yes, it is good to keep a world perspective on things and to realize how blessed we are as individuals, how blessed we are as a nation, communities, the things that we have that we absolutely take for granted. That even comparing ourselves to different generations. When you used to have one-room schoolhouses in the prairie, and you heated it with a potbelly stove in the center, and you know the kids would have to blow on their fingers to warm them up so they could write because their fingers were getting too cold. Yeah, let's keep everything in context. But what Joe Biden is trying to do here is he's trying to pass the buck. He was the buck stops with me president. Well, this is all his doing. This has all happened under him. And what this is trying to keep you from seeing is, number one, his presidency and this Congress and this Senate has been an absolute disaster. The biggest disaster since the Carter administration. And that's hard to outdo. So he wants to take your eye off that. He wants to take your eye off the fact that from day one, when he stepped foot in the Oval Office, he declared war on oil, on domestic oil in particular, shut down jobs, took away jobs. We were one of the prominent oil producers and net exporters in the world the day before Joe Biden stepped in office. You've got everything going on with Russia and Ukraine. Russia starts a war. Now we're talking about possibly having a nuclear situation. You've got talks of China moving into Taiwan. And where did this all come from? Where did all this misery index start? Well, it started with Joe Biden. It started with his war on oil. It started with him and his disastrous pullout of Afghanistan. And world leaders pay attention to those sorts of things. And when they see a weak president like Joe Biden in the Oval Office, and they see him withdraw from Afghanistan, and they see the destruction and the miscalculations and passing the buck and failure to commit to things, they know that they're dealing with someone who is weak. What's another big thing that's happened since the Biden presidency? Well, you've got North Korea launching ballistic missiles over the island of Japan. Why are all these world powers, the corrupt world powers at that, why are they all going absolutely nuts right now, doing things that we have not seen in decades? They're doing it because they see a weak world leader sitting in the Oval Office. And that guy is manipulating the electorate. He's manipulating his citizens. He's manipulating the world. And everything is just one skilled set to stay one step ahead of everybody seeing where that ball's at. And it's time to wake up. So most importantly, coming into this election cycle, make sure, men and women out there, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get out there and vote. Make sure you get out there and vote conservative. Your votes matter. They absolutely matter. If you've got friends, the turnout of voters in the United States is somewhat a little bit apathetic, and people just think, well, it's one vote, it's not going to matter. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But this is a cascade of one after another. And if we as conservatives don't get out there, don't light the fire under our like-minded conservative friends to get out there and hold these elected officials accountable, then the check writing is going to continue. We're going to continue printing money like a drunken sailor on shore leave, spending it, and things are going to get a whole lot worse. You've got Bank of America already came out with their projections. They're predicting about a monthly loss of 175,000 jobs per month. That is going to be devastating. And when you have somebody like Joe Biden saying, "Well, compare that to the rest of the world. We're really pretty good off." Well, we are, Joe, but is it you that shows up to work and sees everybody leaving in the parking lot with their head held down, and they know they've got to go drive home, and their wife is going to know that something up, or their husband's going to know something's up, and they're going to have to tell them that they can't afford to live where they're living anymore? They don't know what they're going to do. These are real decisions that have real consequences. The value of the dollar is being absolutely destroyed, and it's time for the grown-ups to take back over the household from the juveniles, and Disneyland is over. It's time to start getting serious about business and start acting like responsible adults. So without dragging this out any longer, like I say, I like to keep them at 10 minutes. Make sure you get out there and vote. Do your own little grassroots efforts thing. If you only convince one or two other people to vote, and they convince one or two other people to vote, the end result can be huge. So get out there, get your grassroots efforts started, and get yourself to the polling place. Get your friends to the polling place, and we need to hold these people accountable. And we'll see you next time.